Okay, Mrs. Greer, I'd like to open the public hearing for bonding for the sanitary sewer system improvements. Could you take attendance?
Greg Lozero.
Present.
Lou Farrar.
Present.
Dave Delaney.
Present.
Doug Avery. Nick Ferretta.
Present.
Let's rise for the pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is Before I ask for members of the audience, I'm going to ask Pete Baker to give an overview of this bonding.
Go over here, how do you?
If people can hear you from there, you can.
Everybody hear me? Okay, so, yeah, the first agenda, public hearing for the bonding for the sanitary sewer improvement projects. This is a project that B&L has been working on for quite some time. It is approximately about a $3 million project. The first step to improve sanitary sewer systems within the town, primarily the former village, addresses a lot of aging infrastructure, manholes that are needing repair, a lot of sanitary sewer lines that we've identified through inspection that are leaking. The $3 million project is we've applied to the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for a grant. We recently, in January, the town was in receipt of the grant. They were also in receipt of a 0% hardship loan with the EFC. So bottom line is 0% hardship loan in and of itself is worth about a 40% grant. So the project really can be performed, $3 million project can be performed with a 25% grant payable from New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, 0% grant. This is work that needs to be done. This isn't anything extra within the town. This is to repair aging, and I don't know if people have heard me talk on just kind of the state of the wastewater system within the town. This is work to repair basically necessary repairs to the sanitary sewer infrastructure. Along that line, it's this is funding with New York State. It will be provided on that end. It's a project that's been in the works for many years. It's certainly the necessary first step to kind of help address the sanitary sewer, the condition of the sanitary sewer system within there. One of the main drivers for this project is certainly looking at the wastewater treatment plant during, for instance, anytime there's a significant rainfall, a lot of that water makes its way to the treatment plant, makes it difficult to operate the treatment plant effectively. So really what this is doing is this is per the DEC, this is a requirement the DEC is requiring that the town address this. Certainly without that, the town has the potential to lose funding, future funding with Environmental Facilities Corporation, and they certainly have potential for subsequent consent orders with the DEC should they not address some of these issues that have been on the table for quite some time. So that's really all I want to talk about. It's not a new project. It's a project that we've been contemplating for quite some time. One more statement. In 2016, the town actually, without any grant, any hardship financing, did previously approve this bond of $3 million. At that point in time, the bonding period was for 5 years, so it would have been a significant annual cost. With this new grant program and with the new 0% hardship financing, really took what would have been about a $600,000 per year cost for 5 years. It's really going to be about a $75,000 per year project for the town to pay for the grant over the next 30 years. It's not a lot of money given the overall scope of the project and what needs to happen for long term. What needs to happen. If the bonding isn't approved, the town will not be able to receive the grant. And that's certainly, to make those repairs, there's gonna be a more significant, finance for the town, will have to finance those repairs that'll ultimately be triggered by the DEC anyways. So that's, I just wanna give a quick overview, just to make sure everybody was aware of what this is, and it's nothing new on that project. I'll talk to the public hearing, so I can answer. I'm not sure what I can or can't answer on this.
Well, public hearing will take comments from citizens. Really generally no discussion, we just take public comments. That's what public
Am I
hearing
allowed
is.
to, I think has a question. Am I allowed to?
This isn't a movie trail, right?
No, this is, and again, this is a separate project from the Wounded Eagle Trail. This is fixing sewers on Maple and Johnston, on Cuba Street. This is sewers within the village. It has a completely independent project from the Kingdom Road Wounded Eagle Trail configuration.
Does this include the equalization tank?
There's no, you can make comments.
Oh,
Okay, you can make
Public
comments.
hearing.
Public hearing, just making comments.
Sorry.
Okay.
I can answer the question.
Okay.
so that's another thing else. That's $3 million.
Right, he's asking a brief, can I respond to him, because he's asking a good question.
Okay,
So,
go ahead.
There is,
Come.
What was your question, Brad?
The $3 million bond, there's a perception in the community that it's taking care of the $3 million equalization tank that we all know, we've heard has major leaks. So we're not only talking about a $3 million bond, but we're also talking about a $3 million expenditure.
we are currently looking at, the town has received another grant to look at the wastewater treatment plant itself. That plant is in need of some repairs were done about 20 years ago, other repairs have never been done. The equalization tank is part of that. What this project addressing infiltration and inflow will ultimately reduce the size of that tank. So if it's 3.5 million gallons, if we can reduce, the reason that tank is there is because the sewers leak and water gets in there. So that's the way to fix it, is fix it at the source and not at the tank.
If you had a whole thing, about $6 million expenditure to the water and sewer user.
I can't answer that question now because we don't know what the answer is. So,
Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Could you stand up?
On that same subject,
Ma'am, could you stand up and state your name for the record?
okay.
And where you live?
Oh, I'm Jean Gilroy, I live on Gravel Road. I'm standing up. In that same vein that we were just talking about, I had pulled up this email from October 30th, 2017, that was sent out, issued by the wastewater treatment plant of Seneca Falls, calling it an actual environmental alert that is like this tank is leaking. And that was October 2017. Environmental alert that wastewater is being dumped into Van Cleef Lake. That's not a question.
Is there any other comments? Yes, sir. Again, stand up. All you have to do is state the town that you live in.
I live in Seneca Falls. My name is Chris Lytle. I live at 36 Cayuga Street. I'm not allowed to ask a question, but I can make a statement. Is that right? So my statement is, you mentioned, Peter, that this is phase one. So the statement is that there are obviously more phases, and that's a question. When will those phases be articulated and the budget projections provided?
Go ahead, answer your question.
So we did an investigation. We looked at overall the village as a whole. So there's other portions of the sewer system that have not been looked at. Certainly, and more of the outlying areas. This is really the village, the heart of the town where we found most of the I&I. When I say I&I, infiltration and inflow. This is stage one, as I said. The next part of that is this is going to address the lion's share of the infiltration and inflow. I can't answer what the next stage would be. I think once these processes work where you do the fix, you take a look at how the system responds, the expectation is I&I is going to be reduced significantly. A lot of the issues with the town currently live within inflow, which would be direct connections of storm sewers and or roof drains, sump pumps into the system. Those are things that we can't directly, those are items that are really better fixed by the town personnel, working with the citizens, working with those. There's a lot of things that the town can do on its own. There's some of the work that is part of the project is specialized work within what a sewer, a pipeline contractor would be able to do. There's a lot of items that the town certainly has initiated those work, improving these conditions, and that work will be ongoing. This is not a one-time project and it's over. Maintenance of sanitary sewer is something that's required ongoing maintenance. Certainly, it's not a $3 million a year effort every time, but it's looking at, additional inspections, identifying those areas. So there's going to be additional work as the sewers age. There's absolutely going to be need to maintain the system. So that's a critical part of maintaining this infrastructure.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Yeah, you first.
My name is Stan Kraskowitz. I live out at Kenmore. I understand that bonding is a rational way for municipalities to do things, to pay over time. However, what I don't understand is that this project originally was $3 million. We had a $747,000 grant. And why are we bonding $3 million? We had 1/3 of it in a grant. A grant means that the money, we don't have to pay that money back. We have to pay $3 million back. So there's a unclarity, there's a disparity there somehow. I don't understand. And then the other thing is, that I want to say is that there are other communities that have received substantial grants. I'll tell you, some in the area. Naples had an $8 million project. They got a $4 million grant. See, half of what it cost. So they have to pay back $4 million. Sharon Springs, North of Albany, had a $4 million grant, or a $4 million project cost, and they got $2 million, one half. Waterloo had a $6 million grant. They got $3 million. Why did we only get 1/3? And why are we bonding the entire $3 million? We have a grant. I don't understand. And these examples that I gave you, the median household income in these towns are basically the same as ours. So I don't get it. We said we were going to talk to Senator Helming and to see, because that's what Waterloo did. They talked to her. They got millions of dollars. And we haven't. I mean, maybe we did. I don't know. Maybe she couldn't help. I don't know. But again, bonding is fine. But it's a matter of how much you have to pay. And the figures that I heard in the past just, I don't know, they don't match up to this $3 million figure.
Yes, Gil.
Robert Ellen, Waterloo, and I'm doing business in Seneca Falls. First of all, most of the cities in the country that have infrastructure over 100 years old are going through the same thing. He just mentioned a bunch of towns and villages, and it's more than just what he mentioned. Every community in the United States that's over 100 years old is going to have to replace their sewer system, water lines and stuff. Chicago, it's just normal course of doing business and maintaining your infrastructure. As far as grants, you can only apply for what's available. It's a $400,000 grant, you apply for it, you get it, that's fine. You can't turn it into $4 million. Waterloo, I believe, their grant, some of it was just low interest loans. It wasn't a grant for free money. A lot of these grants are low interest loans. You have to do that to pay back. And this project is supposedly 5 years old. So, I mean, this board, you're in your second year. I think you got a peanut gallery over here that throws stones at this board for stuff that has taken place in the past. And I think it's unfair. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? I'll get back to you, Brad. Yes.
Just kind of piggybacking on what Stan said over here, I think that there are a lot of financial questions with this whole situation, and the town has been concerned about finances, including raising taxes. I do want to ask a question, because I guess the question would be, how are we planning on paying back the interest-free loan? Would that be increased water rates, or would it be a tax increase? I mean, I think at some point, if we can't have our questions answered right now, I guess this is my statement, if we can't have questions answered right now, there, at some point, it makes sense to have our questions answered in a group. Perhaps we could have like a financial presentation from our treasurer, and maybe you, Greg, as the chief financial officer, you and the treasurer could work out some financials that would enable those of us here who are probably concerned about the financial issue here to understand that. I mean, I think that's the big concern. We're going to take out this bond, and how will we pay it back? At what cost to the residents? My second point is also a question, but I suppose I could turn it into a statement, but I'd like to ask the question first. Just based on the article in the Finger Lakes Times last night, I mean, I do agree with what our engineer said, that yes, we are all aware of the infrastructure and it being fairly archaic and it needs replacing, and it's within the old village and town area, but the article last night does mention the Route 414 corridor. So does this project include the Route 414 corridor? Okay, so it's just then for the.
Yeah,
That was the question I asked.
you wrote me an email today, you said that was a
I did, yeah, I did.
misstatement.
Am I allowed, can I?
Yeah, you
Okay,
you know, again, it's the press who
Yes,
doesn't get
we
their
just saw that.
information
So there were a
correct.
couple things that were, we just want to correct. I think it's just some of the money and just the project, really, there's two distinct projects. There's, you know, the 414 corridor, there's the Ludovico Trail, and which are sort of, we're somewhat related, and there's this sewer rehabilitation project, which is completely independent. There's two different projects. This is really, again, this is just within the corridor. So, and again, just I'm going to take it upon myself to respond to some of the other comments too. The grant we applied for was the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant. It was available in 2017 through EFC. It was a first-time grant that was offered. It was payable at 25%. So when you apply for these grants, you get the maximum amount of money. You apply for the maximum amount of money you can get. That's what basically for where the town, the condition the town was in within MHI, that was the maximum allowable grant for the Water Improvement Act. There's other grants available that are discussed, like intermunicipal cooperation and intermunicipal grants. Those are sometimes payable at a higher rate. This is a town-only project. So that was the maximum amount that was available for the town last year. There's certainly, those grant monies come and go. So there's, now is the opportunity. We're still waiting for the 2018 grants to be announced on that project. So there's no indication that they may not be available in 2018. So it's money that's available now. If the town waits, they run the potential of losing out on that grant money. And again, the 0%, the hardship financing, that's equivalent to about a 40% grant too. Looking at you take 0% versus what the town will normally bond at, it works out about over the course of 30 years about a 40% grant as well. So it's kind of a double whammy with a pretty, what we think is a pretty good grant, as well as the 0% hardship loan as well.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you. My name is Brad Jones. I'm a resident taxpayer, very concerned about our fiduciary responsibility as a board. I would like to make a statement. Everything we're talking tonight here at the public hearing, whether it's the $3 million bond or the $3 million or say $2.5 million needed for the equalization tank, it doesn't come from your taxes. It comes from water and sewer. Am I correct in that, Peter?
Correct.
So I think the audience outside, our fellow residents, may think it's coming from posting fees from Seneca Meadows or the triple increase we had on taxes. But what we're talking about tonight is strictly coming from your water and sewer bills. Number two, being a concerned resident, and no disrespect for Mr. Baker, but B&L is the largest vendor in the town of Seneca Falls. One of the public officials last year said in 2017 they were paid $500,000 in engineering fees, nothing to do with, say, the $3 million bond, nothing to do with the equalization tank. They just basically oversee everything. My concern, and I want to share this with the board and share it with the community, is Martin Judas was heavily involved. Lead engineer on the water reservoir tank came in over budget. The room you're in today, the town hall, B&L was the engineer and lead, came in over budget. Once again, no disrespect, but 40% to 40%, that's all I'm hearing. I'm asking you as my public official, my team, to get an outside consultant, a CPA, to give us, the residents, a revenue cost analysis. You just don't go on the words of an outside vendor who happens to be your town engineer. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Bid for John Deere lawnmower. Did it again, Kim. There's nothing on the bottom for this one, though. I would like to put a bid of $350 for the John Deere lawnmower. Again, that's from Joe Wyatt. Since it's the only bid, I make a motion to award the bid to Joe Wyatt for $350.
A second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we have a presentation tonight for Mr. David Baker for Volunteer of the Year. Is Dave here tonight?
Dave is not here to present. His grandson has a senior superlative baseball game he wanted to attend, so I'll be giving out in his place. Okay. The David Baker Youth Sports Volunteer of the Award was started in 2013. It's sponsored by the Recreation and Parks Commission of Seneca Falls. It was developed to recognize a longtime volunteer personnel who give up their time above and beyond what others do. And in the process, the commission at that time decided to name it in honor of David Baker. David Baker is a longtime volunteer, pushing over 35 years on the rec commission, and longer than that as a coach and referee in baseball, basketball, everything you can think of. And so this year, the recipient has been involved with Seneca Falls recreation activities since 2000, volunteering his time coaching kickball, boys and girls basketball, boys and girls lacrosse, Little League T-ball, and Little League baseball. He also has served as a coach at Miners Academy, helping to lead the boys and girls lacrosse programs at the modified, JV, and varsity levels. He has, however, had the greatest impact is when he was tasked with assisting the coordination of the entire program of the youth lacrosse program here at Seneca Falls. His job was to assist in the entire program, including player registration, equipment inventory, coach and referee recruitment, game schedules, field schedule for practice, and games and representation at league meetings. He also made sure that all-season camps were offered to those athletes interested. This coordination required a lot of his personal time from February through June, but never would you hear him complain, even though during this time he was usually coaching a rec team or a Miners Academy team as well. And through it all, he always made sure that lacrosse got the attention necessary to keep the program healthy. Simply put, few in Seneca Falls have impacted their sport more. Ultimately, his passion for lacrosse, his dedication to coaching, and his deep-rooted commitment to children made the choice in selecting him as this year's David Baker Volunteer Award winner very easy. On behalf of some of the members of the Recreation Committee who are here, Charlie Luffman, who was the chairman, Kevin McDonald, the vice chairman, and Angela
Could you guys
Reardon.
stand up so we could recognize you?
Please.
Because I think you do a great service to the community also.
This is Charlie Luffman, raise your hand, Charlie's the Recreation Chairman, Kevin McDonald, Vice Chairman, Angela Reardon, who's from the commission. They're one of 10 people who meet regularly with us to help us keep things going. And so this year, ultimately, again, like I said, it made this year's choice easy. And so this year, I'd like to introduce our award winner, Steve Sandroni. Steve, come on up. I just wanted to also tell Steve that, or let everybody know that Steve, many people remember Jerry Galusha. Jerry Galusha really was youth lacrosse for Seneca Falls for so long. And we lost Jerry all of a sudden, to cancer back in 2010, I believe. And it really made a huge dent in our program as to which direction we were going to go, because nobody really knew lacrosse the way Jerry did. And we needed those kind of people in our programs. I made one simple phone call to Steve Sandroni, and it wasn't even a question. It was he right away, I always remember the day he said, "I'd love to do that." And he stepped up, and for the next 8 seasons, till last year, this is the first year we had to fly solo without him. It was a little rough, and we figured it out. But Steve stepped up and did a great job. And he'll be present this plaque. We're going to take a picture with it out front, but this will be posted in the community center in the hallway at the David Baker Award wall. If you walk down towards the gym, you'll see it. And then for Steve, in here is a clock that also lists him as volunteer of the award. This is for him to take home. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You can say a couple words if you'd like, or just.
I just want to say thank you for, for all the assistance you guys gave me in the program for all them years. And it's an honor to be associated with Dave Baker for everything he's done. My daughter always said one time she thought Dave owned the rec center. He did so much. I said he doesn't own it, he just lives there.
Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, very good. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me.
To add one more thing, volunteerism is one of the tenets of this community that makes this community work. So, the Rec Commission, Mr. Sandroni, thank you for your tireless effort during the year. Going on to petitioners now, Mr. Robert McGill.
Yield the floor.
You-
Put me to sleep.
Oh, okay. First time for everything. Okay, our next petitioner is Andy Coleman. He's going to talk on road resurfacing.
Thank you for letting me speak. I have a quick,
Okay. You have
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
We got it. I'm here on the request of the highway superintendent. Yes, ma'am. To discuss the treatment that happened on Leland Drive. It might have been characterized as a low-end treatment when in actuality it's very high-end treatment in the pavement preservation world. It came to the United States in 1988 from Europe, came to New York in 1992, and since 92 it's a state-approved process. It's been growing every year. Last year and last fall did 3 million square yards of that process on state highways, interstates, and residential roads. I understand the concerns of the residents because it doesn't look like their driveway. It's not made to look like their driveway. It's designed to be slightly open graded, so some of the seams don't look as pretty as anything. But the road is a solid road. It'll be there for a long time. There's one small spot related to an equipment issue that we planned, that I met with the highway superintendent, told him early in the spring that we would take care of. Other than that, that's, I would accept any questions or, yes.
Why is it coming up in certain areas?
It's coming up in a 1 foot wide thing for about 8 feet, and the reason it's coming up is the paver itself has a spray bar in front of the hot mixed asphalt. And when it took off, that one of the nozzles didn't go on. And so what happens is it's in the mix and people don't see it right away. It's literally 10 feet by, it just took a second for that nozzle to warm up enough to come on. But it's easy fix, and I plan on fixing it. So.
Are there any of the residents of the street here that have any questions? Yes, sir.
I think it's the best street we've had in 16 years. But
Thank you.
These had the two coatings of oil and chip that you put down before, way better.
So this is better than a blacktop street?
It is a blacktop street.
What's the difference?
The way the material is made, the material is made here in the county.
Of course.
It's just a coarser material, that's all.
Right.
It is a hot mix, it is a black.
So the residents are happy?
It's much better than previous.
The bonding of that surface is bar none, very, very tough, okay? You take a pick to that, you're not picking it apart. We did take saws trying to cut rebates onto it, okay? It's not, like Andy says, it's not pretty like your blacktop driveway. It seals the road and it holds it together, okay?
Then my next question is, why aren't we using it more in town?
It's specifically built for, specific road, the whole pavement preservation world is a right treatment for the right roads, and that was a perfect situation for that road. That road was, most places was slightly below the gutter, so it was a perfect thing just to not have to mill the road out, not have to go through all the milling, go all that. You could literally just build the road right back up to above the gutter. I'm out of time. Out in the country, it's easy to raise a road up. You don't have a driveway every 5 feet.
Right.
So this treatment it was a perfect fit for that situation.
Right. So the work that you have left to do, you're gonna address it?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For your time. Our next petitioner is Mr. Kyle Black, spring construction and operation updates from Seneca Meadows.
Good evening. Unfortunately, I didn't bring additional copies. I believe Marcy had sent you all the neighbor notes that we send out to all our neighbors on the perimeter. So this is just kind of an overview of what we're doing this year in our construction season to let everybody know. This year we've got, this year we're adding on to the cell we built last year, another 13-acre cell to the north as we continue to fill out that footprint. So we'll be constructing that cell as we continue on the west side and go that way. We're continuing filling on the east side. As we fill, we put in horizontal and vertical landfill gas collection as the waste is going in to extract any landfill gas or odor residue to get over to our renewable energy facility and flare facility. So there's another 50 plus or minus vertical wells being drilled in this year. We've already had one drilling event. There'll be probably 2 more. Just about twice a month we're putting horizontals in, because with the new state regulations we have to put horizontals in every other lift. So that will continue to enhance the odor mitigation plan that we hatched here a couple years ago, and we've seen great success with it. as we bring that area to grade, we put intermediate cover on and seed it, so you're gonna see, continue to see grass to continue along the 414 side over here. So we'll continue doing that. We're putting up a new 2 million gallon leachate tank for some additional storage and operational flexibility. It's a double line tank. So again, a tank inside of a tank, so we can monitor and ensure if there's ever any issues. Most of the final covers completed from that project. We launched back in 16, we finished at 17. So that's kind of it on the construction side. Most everything else will remain the same. Questions? So with that and with the with all that capping and landfill gas, here's our running 12-month order chart. So what you're looking at is June to your left, current to your right, May. So obviously we've seen a very steady decline in odor complaints, which is the residue of all that capping work and landfill gas work that all our on-site staff and contractors, local contractors have been helping us out with. So we've seen a very significant decrease in odors, which is good for a whole lot of reasons. So that's kind of that. I also bring that to the county and Waterloo and update that every month as well. It's also on our website at the request of a former county supervisor. So,
Thank you, Kyle.
thank you.
Okay, our next petitioner is Chris Lytle, and he's going to speak on town governance.
Thank you for your time. As I said earlier, my name is Chris Lytle. I live at 36 Cayuga Street in Seneca Falls. The reason I'm here is to ask about Seneca Meadows host agreement fees and where they're being held, if they're being held. And I'm asking because I have talked to several...
Excuse me, I didn't get that. Yes.
Seneca Meadows fees are being paid, but they were unbudgeted in 2018. In the 2018 budget process, it was decided not to count that money because we're in a legal disagreement, and it was thought at the time that Seneca Meadows may not be paying their fees. So it was unbudgeted. The Seneca Meadows income is unbudgeted. And I have not yet heard from anybody where this money is going or where it's being held. Since it was unbudgeted, and I don't disagree with the logic, but since it was unbudgeted, I have to assume that it's being held in a separate fund. And it's not just going into the general fund or turning into a slush fund of some kind that's being applied to whatever's wanted and needed. New York State requires that if that money is going to be used, it has to be subject to an amended town budget, and that the town board then has to vote on that amendment to the town budget. You may have done that, I just am not aware of it if you have done that. So my question is, where is the money going? Because Seneca Meadows, thank you very much, is sending in their fees for the host agreement. So since it's unbudgeted, where is that money going? Who has authority over it? And how is it generally being used? And has there been an amendment to the budget in that regard? With regard to all the money we're spending on legal fees for eminent domain to, with our litigation with Seneca Meadows, we have a lot of fees, legal fees, certainly. I would hope that we're at least following the law regarding where that money goes, because I'm hoping we're going to have a $3 million, plus or minus, but a $3 million surplus at the end of the year, rather than having it just disappear. So that's...
And we will have I will put on the agenda for next month, an accounting of that and where it's going.
That'd be great.
Okay.
My other comment is, and it's a related comment, is that we never have a financial report. I don't know if that's standard at municipal board meetings or not, but I never hear a financial report.
We're going to have a mid-year financial report. Is Beverly here tonight? Okay. Beverly keeps a month-to-month running account of where the budget's at, and we can give that next month, okay? So Beverly, we can prepare for that, and we'll give that on next month's meeting. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Can I answer him on that? We did get an email. Chris?
Yes.
The town board did get an email from Bev on, that broke down with rec center, water, sewer and everything. We knew, you know,
Excellent.
with our budget and how we are, so. We just got it, last week, I think it was. She emailed all the board members. We do get that, and we get to look at it and see where it's at.
I'm certainly looking forward to a tax decrease next year. Maybe we'll see.
Mr. Jim Sandless on town finances.
Good evening. I would like to make some comments about town expenses, but first I'd like to give a nod of thanks to our town employees. Stu Peenstra, Tim, I see you sitting in Stu's chair this evening, and our town police officers for keeping Seneca Falls safe. Jim Peterson and his highway employees, who, as I said earlier, paved my street last year, and it's the best it's been since I've lived there. Jim Spina and his rec staff, Joe Tulo in the water department, and the rest of the town employees, I appreciate you for working hard every day. I have 4 points to make about town expenses. Let us compare this year to last year. We had an IT company doing network administration and phone support for $35,000. We hired a full-time administrator for $54,461, an increase and a waste of $19,461. We had a town attorney on contract to the town for approximately $50,000. We hired a town attorney full-time for $79,036. An increase of $29,036. Our town attorney promptly brought in outside counsel for help, legal help, for eminent domain in regards to the sewer system proposal. Barclay and Damon has billed us $41,367 for the first 3 months of 2018. Additional legal help has been brought in for defense of SMI Article 78 lawsuit. Boylan and Code billed us $38,353 August to December 2017. Figures are unavailable at this point for 2018. Total cost, $158,756. We should eliminate these positions and go back to contracting out. Number 3, Barton Lynn LaJudas. 2017 expenses, $317,620. The average salary for a civil engineer in Central New York is $68,000 a year. Have we explored having a full-time engineer for the town and contracting out for extra services? Are we getting a good value for our $317,620? Number 4, it is my understanding that SMI has paid first quarter tonnage fee of approximately $600,000. What are we doing with this surplus? Approximately $2.4 million or so for 2018. What is the potential plan? Returning the money to the taxpayers, investing in the town, or more spending? I thank you in advance for considering these 4 items.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Our next petitioner is Jean Gilroy.
I'm reporting tonight from the Peanut Gallery, and I'd like to make this statement. Asking questions gives transparency and legitimacy to the work that the board is doing. Not allowing questions leads to misinformation and rumors. We need a healthy exchange between the board and the audience. Now, I have 9 questions, not 10, and you will appreciate that. And I have to race through it to get through it by 3 minutes. Now, regarding the lawsuit filed by SMI against the town of Seneca Falls, we are given a false choice of negotiate or be sued, when the true choice is drop the lawsuit or lose the lawsuit. Are we negotiating away our home rule law? And are we being manipulated by a mega corporation? And is our entire board invited to all negotiations? Are we going to issue a permit of operations when SMI is in violation of their odor controls and staging of trucks before the hours of operation 8 to 5? This morning at 5 o'clock, I was knocked out by the smell at my house. I drove to Seneca Meadows and I witnessed trucks entering, unsealed trucks entering the SMI property, which is a violation of the host agreement, at the rate of 1 per minute until I left at 6 a.m. By 6:30, the dumping had already started. It was not 8 o'clock. Number 3, can SMI legally withhold payments to the town of Seneca Falls? These payments are not a gift. They're legally negotiated compensation, and it is a violation of the host agreement to threaten or stop payment of this compensation. These threats swayed the 2017 board to raise our taxes in 2018. The host agreement stipulates that legal fees accrued during litigations and negotiations with SMI can be charged back and paid to us by SMI. Are we receiving these reimbursements? At a special board meeting, which was not recorded, on May 21st, our supervisor made a motion not to repair the floor of the pool at Vince's Park because, paraphrasing, we don't know what we'll do with the park in the future. Where have I seen this before? It has also been rumored many times that our supervisor plans to close the Seneca Falls Police Department. Does he support the health and safety of town residents? And where have I seen this before? And what about Vince's Pool? With a family membership of $100, you're pricing families out of the recreational facility. And then you can say, I told you so, nobody goes there anyway. So, where have I seen it? Here's where I've seen it. SMI propaganda, local law number 3, would have a devastating impact. 0 funding for Vince's Park and the elimination of local police. This is from last fall. I think we're moving in that direction. It looks that way, and we're going to keep a watch on everyone. And what about the economic development plan? How can we have economic development, growth of tourism, and vital community spirit with stinky trucks rolling through our town, pervasive odors, no recreational facilities, and no police department? And what about our ethics board? Are we going to have one? We've had several embarrassing incidents lately, and we need to pay attention. We need new creative leadership, and we need our home rule back.
Our next petitioner is Ed Zamuda, damage sustained on Joanne Avenue. Is Mr. Zamuda here? No? Okay. I make a motion to approve the special meeting of April 13th, 2018.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I want to make a motion to approve the regular monthly meeting of May 1st, 2018. Reports. I make a motion to approve.
That should have been May 21st.
May-
not April 13th.
April 13th? Okay.
I make a motion, take a 5-minute recess.
Okay. I'm just gonna declare a 5-minute recess. Okay. I'll give you the privilege of council.
Thank you.
She was giving me.
Okay, we're gonna restart the meeting. The approval of the minutes, I wanna go back to, it's a special meeting of May 21st, 2018. So we approved that and the regular monthly meeting of May 1st, 2018. So I have the motion on the floor to approve those. I have a second.
A second, yeah.
Okay, someone from the peanut gallery mentioned that, that May 21st meeting was, wasn't recorded. Well, if we have minutes to it, I guess it was recorded. So I just wanted to bring that out. So I'd like the peanut gallery to get that back straight. Reports. Going under reports, I make a motion to accept the dog control officer's report.
A second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the zoning officer's report. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to say, Dean, let's see, a nice list here, the summary for the violations, which is good. I see some are being taken care of, so I'm happy. I know we got further down for a hard time to do this, and I think it should be done. You got to write a list this month. I think we need the extra person to do it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation report.
A second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Highway Superintendent's report.
A second.
Discussion.
Yes, President. June 18th is a rubbish pickup. Everything can be out on Sunday, the 17th. I appreciate it. And I also like to say that I'm losing two of my employees. Mike Booth and Bill Gladys will be retiring. They're great employees. They've done one heck of a job for the highway department. And I want to thank them both. It's going to be in the paper. Dave.
Okay, you're going to have it in the paper. Okay.
Nikki will have it in the Finger Lakes Times. The stuff
Yeah.
that we can pick up. And
It'll be in Thursday's paper, and then I'll put it in Finger Lakes Times.
Finger Lakes Times, okay, good.
The Rebel.
Just a reminder, no electronic TV stuff, tires, brush your leaves.
Okay, Jim, just one question.
Yes.
We had said that we're going to get a meeting with the DEC and,
Yes.
and soil and water to talk about some of the flooding areas in
I've
town.
got that in the works right now, and I've talked to you a little about that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get it towards the end of this month here, so
Okay.
everybody can get together.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the assessor's report.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the Seneca Falls Town Court report.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve the report from the Water and Sewer Department.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
One thing, we had a water main break last Thursday. We had Daniels and on a 6-inch cast iron.
And could you elaborate on how many men you had, how many hours they were out?
5 men from 9 at night until 6 in the morning, we got it done.
Okay, thank you for their hard work and effort in doing that. I want to make a motion to approve the Seneca Falls Police Report.
I'll second
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Want to make a motion to approve the Barton and Judas Report.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
I do have a couple things. 2 items on the, in March, we had applied for and received a grant from EFC, a similar grant to EFC for doing an engineering evaluation of the wastewater treatment plant. Part of that process is to submit that contract documentation, town board resolutions. In reviewing that, EFC has come back to us. I sent an email out earlier. I'm going to provide an amendment to the agreement. The original agreement we had with the town was for $25,000. This revised agreement basically is we need to, it's a contract amendment to reduce that agreement to $30. I need that signed, check the boxes with EFC. Again, this is an 80% reimbursement, so the initial contract value is for $24,960. Ultimately, it'll cost the town $4160. EFC's supplements that by 80%. I have the agreement here. I wanted to provide as well. Also, I think we'll be talking later on the Safe Routes to School work as well. That work is underway. It's going to be bid, I believe, in the coming weeks. It will be received in June. As part of that, again, that's a work that was a DOT project. It's being performed under a DOT grant, 80% reimbursement with that. It's a federal aid money, and they ultimately will require oversight of that work as well. So I do have an agreement or a proposal for B&L to provide contract oversight, really the design on that project. It's kind of the normal course of that work again would be reimbursed on that end. I emailed all this information today, but I have hard copies in here, so the contract is certainly there for the board to take a look at, and I have the amendment as well. It's one that handles out. So this again is just kind of a check in the box. It's a $40 kind of credit on the other project, so it's we're saving about $40 on that one. This is the resolution that will be discussed, and then our agreement for our proposal for doing the construction inspection work with the Elizabeth K. Stanton Safe Routes to School. The resolution is already passed.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of approving the report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any other committee reports? Oh, yeah, okay. I missed the man to my left here, Mr. Forrest.
At the last monthly meeting, there was a question with regard to closings with regard to 2 town properties. One was an application or a offer, if you will, by Longley Jones. The other one was one by George Tilton. I'll address the last one. I've been in contact with Mr. Tilton over the past several months, pretty much on a weekly basis, and he has indicated that he may not be able to fulfill or go through with the purchase of the property. I asked him to clarify that to me, if he would, with an email today, and I would just quote, that due to the fact that business has been extremely slow and our business plan has changed significantly, it has been a lot more difficult than we expected to get funding. I have a couple of options, however, on the table. We request that you allow us until June 27th to finalize the closing on the building, or mutually agree to have the town put the property back out for bid. That's the status with regard to his application or his purchase offer. The other one, from Longley Jones, supervisor and I met with the representative quite some time ago. It was prior to the last board meeting. We were advised that we would receive a response back from them shortly, I guess was the word. We have not heard back. We are holding $1,000 in escrow on each one of these. My recommendation to the board is to make time is of the essence with regard to closings. Let me send that notice to each group and indicate that they have until the next board meeting in July to either close on the property or to forego. They would give up their $1,000 deposit, and the bottom line is these properties will be put back out for bid. That would be my recommendation. And I would note that when I came on board, the original $1,000 for these was paid to Pat, and we've held that money, and we've held these. I think we've leaned over backwards trying to accommodate whatever each party had to do. It's been on virtually every agenda since I came on the board. My feeling is there is a reason for doing a time is of the essence notice in any real estate closing. I feel that we should do that, and at the board's recommendation, I vote.
Okay. Make a motion to approve Mr. Foster's verbal report. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the communications that are listed in the packet.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I guess there's no sale of condominium and surplus real properties. Mr. Forster just commented on those. Again, Nikki, this can be taken off the agenda. Okay, there's Mr. Forster will continue to comment on these surplus real properties.
Taken off?
Yeah, that can be taken off the agenda unless there's a movement. Any uncollectible receivables?
Yeah, what's going on with this?
There was an action that was commenced by Pat. It was brought in, it appears that a judgment was procured, and it looks like by default by the other side not showing up, but after that, there were some applications to the court, and nothing occurred with the court after that. I came on board in July. The file was received from Pat, I believe, sometime in, I'm going to say, October, November. And at this point, it does appear that a judgment by default was granted, but I don't believe there was any formal application to set aside that default, as far as I can tell from the paperwork that I have. It's dealing with one issue. When it says uncollectible receivables, I think we're dealing with one account, which is with the
Google, yeah.
through that. So I'm following up on that with Pat to see if he possibly, he was the attorney of record. There was no substitution of attorney filed, so I'm not sure if perhaps anything had been sent to him either by the court or by the opposing party.
So this judgment, is that try to get our money back to the town, or?
We can get a judge, hopefully the judgment is there that says that there is money due, but the collectability of it, I have no idea.
Okay. So you're gonna follow up on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Any movement on a Route 414 sewer line transfer from IDA to town?
That will be the subject of a county meeting coming up with regard to the actual documentation, easements, transfers, and part of the potential construction project.
Hopefully, we're toward the end of that road.
Yes.
What, it's been 8 years?
Yeah.
Installation of fire hydrant on Lake Spur Road. Joe, you have,
That's something that we have to discuss in the water and sewer committee.
okay, we'll be discussing that.
It's not as simple as.
No, I understand that.
Water mains are up on Lower Lake Road, so they should have something down there, but it's gonna have to be engineered and done correctly.
You won't type in an engineering cost then?
But
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. Resolution for the standard workday. I make a motion to approve the resolution for the standard workday for the town attorney. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
What's this?
Want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me and then.
Okay, the standard workday for anybody who is appointed by the board, the state requires, and I believe this is a request that was made of Bev, that they do a sample march to establish the amount of time that is being spent. It tries to reflect the fact that there's a lot of off-hour work, such as tonight, appearing here tonight, or at the town zoning, or at the town planning board meetings, or if you have any type of questions, incidences that occur in an off-hour situation. So what they do is they ask that the time for this be kept and quantified. So I keep an automatic breakdown of what I do as an attorney. In any event, it's all logged in. When I was approached by Bev, she wanted me to start to do a 3-month time estimation for a sample 3-month period, and I advised her that I already had that. I could have given her from July of last year right to the present time. So she selected the last 3 months, which was January, February, and March, and I gave her a breakdown of the actual, the billing software that we use basically allows for a detailing of time spent, description of work done, and the date on which it is done. And that's what she asked me for, that's what I provided to her. And it basically shows, if you go through from January through March, it shows a breakdown of the work actually performed, which is more than what would be considered a full-time person working for the town. And the itemization of it is broken down. I have previously supplied that information to the supervisor and the deputy supervisor back before the end of the year, I believe, sometime in early December. I provided that same information for the period of time from July of last year, when I first came on board, up until the end of the year, so I had previously supplied that anyway. This request is not from me. This request is from the state of New York. The request is made to our senior auditor, if you will, for the town, who is Bev. Bev conveyed that to me and said, could you give me a sample time? I did, and she specified to me the format in which she wanted it, and that's exactly what I gave. So I'm not sure if that was understood at the last meeting. This is not a report that is being done at my request. It's a report that's coming from the state of New York. And that top form that you see, which is on it, the RS 2417A, the standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials, is something that's a compliance requirement. She asked me for the breakdown. I gave it to her. But when it's given to the state, they have to know that this has been adopted by the board as saying that the information is consistent with theirs. And again, during that period of time, that's the work that has been accomplished for the town. And it's fairly detailed, so.
I seen the report. I got after some, this is from the comptroller's office. After some additional thought and research, they determined a record of activities, 3-month calendar, for the town attorney is not adequate. This is based on the New York State SLR Employees Guide, which states the ROA must contain a daily detail of hours worked and duties performed.
Exactly.
They're directly related to elected or appointed position, including official duties performed outside normal business hours. The detail of hours worked and duties performed must include the start and end time of each activity performed. The official must sign the ROA attesting its accuracy. Therefore, as detailed noted above, this is lacking. This record should not be approved in its current form. And then they sent a calendar on how it should be.
Right, and the calendar has been rejected in the past by the board to which this is sent, which is not to the comptroller. But the board that accepts these, they want an itemization, they want a detail. The past, I would say 38 years that I've done this, whether it's been for Yates County, whether it's been for the city of Geneva, other municipalities, or here for the town, this is the exact same format that has been used and accepted. If the comptroller has an issue with it, they should contact the state agency that requested it. That's the form in which they requested, so that's why Bev requested it from me. So that's what I submitted. I'm happy to give it to them whatever form they want it. If they want to.
But I think they're trying to say that it should be in that other form, like in the front.
You put them on a calendar, like if you take a picture of every month and put it on the calendar, the boxes will not have anywhere near the room to put in the detail that's in the report that says what you did, who you spoke to, what you accomplished. That's why they ask for the detailed bill and itemization. So one is more inclusive than the other one.
Yeah.
If what they wanted was in the form of drawing it on a calendar, it'd be a lot easier for me. Every day when I left the office, I would just put on there the allotted time and leave the office. It's a whole lot easier than doing 15 pages of reports.
Yeah, they were saying there was no start or end time either.
It starts when our business opens in the morning.
I just don't, I mean, we got the comptroller's office here since November, and they got called in for something else today. I mean, they're questioning everything today, and I just don't want us to get in trouble. I think the report we're gonna get is gonna be pretty large, from what I understand. There's probably like 5 different sections that they're gonna be giving us. It's just, I don't want to add to it.
I'm more than happy to give what they're asking for by a calendar, less detail. If they want less detail, I'm more than happy to do that.
I mean, maybe you should talk with Ashley or Dan or Mike.
What you should note though, Dave, is that the comptroller, their position of an oversight or recommendations they make, they should be making those requirements. If that's what the state is asking us to do, they should address their inquiry to the department that requested from us. That's what the department that Bev deals with is saying this is what they want. That's what I gave. That's all I can do. I mean, the numbers are not going to change. If they want me to physically add up the hours on each one and put it into one day and the second day,
So, yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow morning if they want me to do it.
Okay.
That's fine. So that's the explanation behind it. They do require it. It's not something that I'm requesting, certainly. It's something that they are requesting.
Motion on the floor is properly seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Who can we check with to see what form they want?
I would say,
Can you directly check with the?
yeah, I would say that this is a form that comes from the New York State and local retirement system. It's a retirement system reporting requirement, and it's got nothing to do with pay. This doesn't affect your pay.
No.
So the bottom line is, if the retirement system is at odds with the comptroller, those two should figure it out. But if I send a calendar, if I send 6 pages of calendar to the New York State retirement system, they're gonna send it back and say what we asked for was an itemization of your billing hours. And that's exactly what I attached, and it is a state form entitled RS 2417A, so.
So we can go with that, and if they have a problem with it, they'll let us know.
They'll let us know. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
No. Motion passes.
What was it, 3 ayes?
3 ayes, 1 nay. Lease of space at the condominium. This was brought up last week where 2 very active women in our community asked if they could utilize space at the condominium. I checked with insurance. They said as long as they were volunteers in the community, they could have that space, but they would have to check with the board and for other uses that when they wanted to bring people up. But it has been used like that in the past. And as per code, I haven't gotten a clear indication of whether it's up to code. Some of the things might need to be fixed, like bathroom usage. The bathrooms might have to be fixed, but we do have electric in it because it's heated year-round. And I would make the recommendation that once we find out about code, that we allow these 2 women to use it because of many activities they do in town. So I'm going to make a motion that we allow them to use this space once we understand it to be up to code. So that's my resolution.
I make just a recommendation. I would just ask that if we do this, we ask for a release from them of any claim liability, whatever. I mean, this is a gratuitous thing that we're doing, but buildings have stairs, buildings have windows, whatever. I don't want, I think it would be prudent for us in the form of helping somebody not to incur a potential liability.
Okay, so I will work with the insurance carrier. I'm writing up a motion for next month. Since I haven't gotten a second on my motion, I will work with the insurance carrier, making up a motion for next month, and if it has all those conditions in it, I don't see the reason why it shouldn't be passed.
Did you ask for a second? That was the reason.
Yeah, I asked for a second, but I didn't get a second.
Can I ask what we're gonna use it for? What are they gonna use it for?
Oh, the letter was in last month. I read the letter. Okay. And it'll give me time to read the letter, okay? We got this letter at the last minute last month, so it'll give you. So, under new business, approval of special events.
Yes, Rick, we have a lot of busy events coming up, and summer's upon us, more or less. So I have 4 here. All have been reviewed by myself, Chief Pizzer, and the Recreation Committee of the town board. So I'll go down through each 4. I think each one should be individually because there's some different items to deal with. The first one, I'll do it in order of their through the calendar. The first one is SFBA Canal Fest, Friday, July 6th through Sunday, July 8th. Same as last year, Canal Promenade, behind the downtown business district, on the opposite side of the canal, the south side. Approximate attendance 10,000, the usual, everything's the same. I ask that you approve that. I recommend you approve that pending proper insurance submittal, because they have not done that yet. They will. So that's the first one. Do I have them all together?
Yeah.
Okay. The second one, Parks and Trails of New York, Cycling the Erie, Tuesday, July 10th through Wednesday, July 11th. Really all that entails is they camp up at the school. They tap into, we do set up a water truck for them. And they use People's Park for a couple of events. They arrive Tuesday and spend the night, leave Wednesday morning. Insurance on that one has been submitted, and it is sufficient. Wednesday, August 1st, Council on Alcoholism, National Night Out. That's the one we do in conjunction with our police department. It is held at the community center, using the back parking lot and inside the community center. Again, it's Wednesday, August 1st, in the evening from 4 till 10 p.m. Insurance has been submitted and is appropriate and sufficient. And the last one, and this is kind of new, this is a new event, something we've been working with, myself and Chief and Tim and Sue, I think Sue was there. Yes, met with Billy Weston at the Gould Hotel. They would like to host an event called Seneca Block Party. Their plan is to block off the State Street from Fall Street to the back of their entrance to their parking lot, and we would have a block party from 2 to 11 with some bands and music and vendors and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's Saturday, August 11th. When we last checked with them, the only thing we're asking on this one is that, again, insurance is pending, as well as proof that all building owners affected have been brought in and have been brought up to date. As of this afternoon, they had been, we don't have them signed off yet, but they have been verbally asked for the support, and they are getting it. So it looks like a really nice event for the downtown district in August. And so, again, that one's the two conditions, insurance pending and proof that sign off of the other business owners and residents. So those are the four events. Okay. Any questions?
Do you have that's your resolution. So I make a motion to approve Jim's resolution.
Second.
Okay, just a discussion, if, from now on, if you could do that in writing. Okay?
I keep forgetting about that one. I wrote you another one.
Okay, yeah, you did. You did, so you're getting better on this.
I'm getting there.
So, and we all are, we're all learning, but, okay, so the motion's on the floor, it was seconded, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we already did the bids for B, C, D, E, and F, and G. We already voted on those, so, and so we'll go right to H. Resolved that the town board does modify the 2018 budget as follows. A debit to insurance proceeds A2680 and a credit to lighting miscellaneous A5 182.403 to reflect the expenditure and the insurance proceeds. So I have a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion on the floor. Motion is, be resolved that the town board does hereby appoint Cassandra Gramley and Sarah Wright to positions of senior account clerk with a probationary status of 6 months. They just recently passed their civil service exams.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I'm going to sign this. Resolved that the town board does change the title of recreation attendant to recreation aide for community center positions which currently have the title recreation attendant.
I'll second.
Discussion. This was prompted by a meeting with the county personnel office that we had some titles that didn't correspond with the county. And they were doing an audit of all towns, and these came up, so we'll change it. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. K, authorized use of pool at Vince's Park by Seneca County Youth Bureau. Be it resolved that the town board approves the use of Vince's Park Pool by Seneca County Youth Bureau for annual county swim program. Dates of use will be Monday through Friday, July 9th through 20th. The county will supervise the program and will be invoiced $2,000 for the use of the pool. County will provide proof of insurance prior to dates of use. The motion, David, you second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Modify the 2018 water sewer budget. Resolved that the town board hereby modifies the 2018 sewer budget to increase expenditure account G8 120.204 and increase and/or add account G5031 by $20,000 to reflect the Daniel Street sewer separation. The funds to be appropriated by revenue received from the landfill for the first quarter of 2018 and to be brought over from the general aid fund by a modification of the aid fund revenue code A2130 and create the expenditure code A9901.903 by $20,000. Motion on the floor, I need a second.
Can we use the landfill money for that?
You're appropriating it. That's what the resolution is doing, appropriating to use that money. That's the only way we can do it, to increase it or we take it from.
But that's general fund money going to water. Can't do it.
Bev? Now, can you explain this a little further?
It is appropriate to transfer from the general fund landfill revenue for the host spring community agreement. Is allowed to use it for capital improvements or repairs and maintenance of the water and sewer lines. It is appropriate to transfer from the general fund to the sewer or water and even one. I had a discussion with the comptroller's office.
Okay.
Regarding
Okay.
I'll second it.
Is there discussion?
Well, why isn't the money being taken out of the water and sewer fund?
That project wasn't budgeted for this year.
And the board expressed desire to use some of the landfill revenue for capital improvements. This is what you can use it for.
Okay, and I think this is a well-needed project also.
Is there no money in the water and sewer fund?
Working on infrastructure control, improvements. This, which is well needed for many years, and I would recommend approval, but that's, again, up to the board.
Well, it's like Bev said, I had talked with the comptroller's office and it can be done, so I don't know. I wouldn't want to do it if I wasn't gonna get in trouble, but they say it was okay.
Money wasn't budgeted. Landfill money wasn't budgeted.
Water and sewer enterprise accounts, the bottom line is if you wish to transfer dollars to them, if you need to, you can. It is.
You just can't take it back.
You just can't take it back. Right.
We're just trying to start this sewer separation for our own people, so.
I know, it's coming under the, like I told the comptroller's office. We're in between that hard, a rock and a hard place because we got the infrastructure and it's gotta be done. And they're saying, yes, you can transfer, so, you know, it doesn't sound good to the public that you're transferring money that the landfill gave us, but it can be done, so this needs to be done. It's not that none of these three need, all need to be done. So, I mean, there's three of them here, resolutions that, like I said, I met with them for about 45 minutes today on different issues, so. I'm a stickler on that because I'm trying to stick with whatever the comptroller's office is telling us.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Be it resolved that the town hereby modifies the 2018 water budget to add expenditure account F8140.214, an increase in or add account F5031 by $25,000 to reflect the repair of asphalt and road damage to the water treatment plant due to a Halloween water main break. The funds to be appropriated by revenue received from the landfill for the first quarter of 2018 and to be brought over from the general aid fund by modification of the aid fund revenue code A2130 and create the expenditure code A9901.904 by $25,000. There's a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Be it resolved that the town board hereby modifies the 2018 water budget to add expenditure account F8140.215 and increase in or add account F5031 by $80,000 to reflect the replacement of water main valves on Fall Street due to them being inoperable at this time. The funds to be appropriated by revenue received from the landfill for the first quarter of 2018 to be brought over from the general aid fund by modification of the aid fund revenue code A2130 and create the expenditure code A9901.904 by $80,000. I have a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Motion. I hereby make a motion to accept the resignation of Patrick Russo from the Water and Sewer Department. I'm going to amend that motion. It says with regrets. I never use the word, I don't like that term with regrets, but I want to thank him for his years of service that he's given to the town. So I make a motion to accept the resignation of Patrick Russo from the Water and Sewer Department and acknowledge his years of service to the town. When someone resigns or retires, I think we should acknowledge them for all the service they've done to the town. Motion's on the floor, second. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. And we have a letter from Mr. Gladys. Yep. And I make he says, please accept this letter of retirement from the Town Highway Department effective on June 29th, 2018. Sincerely, William M. Gladys. So I make a motion to approve the letter of retirement from Bill Gladys and acknowledge his years of service to the town and village.
No, he can't do it.
You better have Timmy handcuff me. And swear.
Finally.
Motion made and seconded. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks,
Who did? Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Lou seconded.
Who did?
Lou. Yes.
And I think a hand. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes, although I only heard one aye. I think the intent of the board is to say aye.
I'd still be around.
Okay. Thank you again. Okay, the next is a letter from Bill Gladys. I'm gonna refer this to the attorney and we'll get you an answer on this letter ASAP, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if you wanna enter into those discussions, I'll let you know when we talk to them, okay?
We appreciate that.
Phil,
Okay.
step over and see me, okay? There's employment counsel that's out there, Mr. Romer, and, it's an interpretation of entitlement to benefits. This has come up before to the board with another employee and died for want of a second to it because it was unclear as to whether there was an entitlement to post-retirement insurance benefits or not. In some cases, there is, and some people indeed to this day receive that. And also there are some people who do not receive that because of an interpretation of the way it was done. I'll leave it.
The way it reads in the employee handbook at this time, I'm entitled to it. If I take it right now,
Yes,
I get a percentage pay.
that's correct.
And if I decide right now that I don't want to, and a couple years down the road I decide to come back, the town has saved that money for that time period. I don't understand why there'd even be a question.
I don't think there is a question, but there's employment counsel that's a specialty, and they deal specifically with that. Because it's come up before and been denied, and come up before and been approved, if there's a question, my feeling is that there's an entitlement to it here, but for a different reason than other claims that have been made. So, we'll get a recommendation from them, be happy to process it.
Yep. When would be good to step in and see it?
Anytime you want,
Right.
every day, here every day.
There's a resolution on the floor to, there's a resolution on the floor to hire.
Surplus. P.
Okay, there's no motion for this, so, I guess we'll hold off till next month. We've had this machine for a while, until there's an appropriate motion for this, okay? So we can read it into the record. Water Department. It's a little out of order. Okay. Okay, Joe?
I'm not gonna, there's no position, we're not gonna.
There's no position to hire for a full-time laborer position or two part-time laborer positions, so that can be taken off the agenda, Joe?
Just Q.
Just Q.
Q.
R is highway.
Or highway, yeah.
Highway, that's highway R,
Okay.
so. Must be
I would advertise for two part-time laborer positions. Nikki, will you get that in the paper? And I know there's been, okay, I know the last couple of months there's been a little delay on that. I would hope that we could get that into the paper ASAP in a timely fashion. Okay, thank you. Advertise for an MEO position.
Do we want to make a motion on Wednesday?
Oh, advertise for two part-time labor positions for the highway. The motion's on the floor. Second discussion. Jim, you want to just go over that?
Well,
real
we got,
quick?
I've got, like I said, we've got two guys that are retiring, and that's gotta go in the paper.
So I'm only down to a 4-man crew right now.
Okay.
So I'd like to, get it out there, get a couple part-time guys, temporary for now, until we can fill these full-time MEOs.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And highway, again, advertise for MEO position.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Jim? Same?
That would be to replace Mr. Gladys as a motor equipment operator
Okay.
He can't be replaced.
until he gets his insurance.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The spring cleanup was talked about, so I make a motion to have a spring cleanup pickup on June 18th.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Resolution creating a second part-time zoning code officer for enforcement purposes. Could you explain that a little?
As of right now, since the economy has dumped and people in this area, there's more violations. Last month alone, there was 39, I believe. Violations cited, plus over 30-some building reports. New businesses, we sold 4, it was a $2.6 million building that I oversaw. In addition to all these, it's just becoming overwhelming for just one person to keep up with violations. The purpose of this position would be to individual would be out there writing violations. That would be his duty, violations every day, 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And I would handle the permits, assist him while I can. And we would need him from April 1st until October 1st, which would save the town money.
Greg, I'd like to add that lately we've been picking up a lot of complaints on code enforcement side, so it's been taking resources away from us to do, the minor things of code enforcement, so I would like to see something like that too, so our patrols can get back out and not have to worry about code enforcement issues.
One of the biggest items I received during the day here, just either walk-ins or call-ins, are for the very same thing. I've discussed this, people, everything from mattresses, refrigerators, air conditioners being left out, and if Dean started at one side, went down the road and came back to the other side, the next day he did the next street, he's gonna run out of days in the week before he's gonna run out of streets.
I see a lot of, it's been a sore spot with me and a few other residences. There's a lot of rentals on Fall Street in our business districts. And I witnessed myself, and it's still sitting there. If I had a pickup truck, I'd pick it up myself, but they put mattresses and chairs out to the road, and they move in the middle of the night. And that stuff is left for Jim with 3 guys. I'm not gonna call Jim. I wanna make a proposal at some point that the deed holder of record, we pick it up. If we see it, it's called in. Any of this debris that's left without a notice of a cleanup, and we pick it up, the person on record that holds the deed for that property, it should go a couple hundred, maybe even more, on their taxes. So they can either pick it up themselves or put the message out to the tenant that if you do leave, I'm gonna charge you in advance and give it back to you. So that Fall Street, other streets in the town don't look like what we're looking at now. So next month, I want to write up a resolution to address that the homeowners of record, these rent-to-owns or however they do it, I want to hold them accountable. Then I can feel comfortable calling our highway superintendent
That's a
and
local,
saying,
That's a local law change.
Yes.
Because you already have regulations and you have to include those in your new regulations, file it with the state of New York. So you have to do the hearing, then you have to do the adoption of the local law, and then you have to file the local law with the state of New York, which Nikki does on a routine basis.
So is that something that we can do?
Yes.
And let's do local law then.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that? I mean, when we had the free dumpster program, the streets were pretty well clean. Anybody could call, they get a dumpster, they were throwing things in there. Now that we have started charging, these renters are now not allowed to come and ask for a dumpster themselves. The landlord has to do it himself. So he's not stuck with a bill that the renter called for the dumpster that the renter called for. I would suggest not charge for those dumpsters anymore, because there was dumpsters being called for like just a chair to go into it, or a mattress.
I would strongly concur with that. We had a similar type situation in a previous metropolitan area where we worked with the counterpart to SMI, which would have been Casell, and it works. If a person is going to have to pay, if they would have paid the money, they would have paid they would have dumped the stuff in the first place.
I don't agree with it.
Well,
Because we have done it, it's a $20 bill. These people that are leaving town aren't gonna spend the $20. The landlord, on the other hand, is gonna charge a deposit. He's gonna pass that on to them. It's unsightly, it has to be corrected. Whether we reverse the charge on that dumpster or put one on the corner of every street, they're still gonna leave us with the mess that we're looking at now.
And we'll discuss that further tomorrow with the highway department and come to a resolution on that, okay?
Greg, can I add one thing to the?
Yes.
to this? I've talked with the chief and I've talked with Dean. And I know the police department's taking on a lot more responsibilities. A lot of people, I've talked to Lou about this, a lot of people have been blowing the grass in the road. I run the sweeper down the road and I can go back through and they've already mowed their lawns and blew the grass in the road. That is a code violation and the police department stopping and telling these people you can't blow the grass in the road.
And it also floods your storm sewers, which we can't keep it clean.
But I see everybody that now has a magnetic sign in the summer is a lawn service professional. And they're mowing grasses. And they're mowing all kinds of lawns. Pardon?
In whose opinion?
Yeah, as long as they have the sign, they're it, right? And these are people that other people are paying to do the job. And if I knock on their door, they're the people that I'm gonna talk to, because whoever they hired doesn't even know enough not to plow their storm sewers.
It is
These are the minor things that we're talking about.
Right.
We get numerous calls throughout the day, the week, for grass clippings in the road. I mean, that's not a law enforcement issue. It's taken away what we should be doing. If you don't know, every single time we get sent to a call, it generates paperwork. Even something as minor as that. If there was somebody to go out and enforce that, we would still take that complaint, but we would forward it to them to go handle it, not us. So we can continue to do what we have to do.
Not to tie it tonight, but to get back to what we were talking about, I endorse the idea of a part-time enforcer. I think we'll all keep them busy, and at the same time, I wanna propose a resolution for next month's meeting to get started on this, to hold these landlords accountable in Seneca Falls. They don't live here, and I wanna see them accountable for what they're doing in our town.
That's who I cite when I write a violation. I'm
Yeah.
not writing to the people living in the building. I'm writing it to the homeowner himself.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to have control over the people renting from them.
Absolutely. And if they're looking at a $250 bill, they're gonna know real quick that they're gonna charge that tenant up front a deposit to make sure that there's nothing by that road when they leave.
Okay, so we're gonna have it 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, not to exceed $17.50 per hour.
Yes.
Correct?
Motion on the table is properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Can I go ahead and advertise for that position?
Yes. The motion on the floor to accept the resignation of Officer Bradley Clouston.
He was working that door for us.
Motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Again, discussion, thank Officer Clouston for his service.
Yeah, I would like to add that Officer Clausen is leaving to go to Brighton PD. That's where we also lost Officer Peck too. He's been a great asset to us for the time that he has been here. We actually put him through the academy, hired. It's kind of proud that you can have members go to a bigger department like that they're well trained and that they're taking them. But on the other hand, it puts us in a position too. But Officer Clausen has had several life saves since he's been here. He was the first officer on scene of the unfortunate incident at Peterman a couple weeks ago. So we will be seeing him quite a bit once court gets rolling here for testifying. So he was an asset.
Motion on the floor seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Police chief, motion on the floor, or is it resolved that he's can attend the 2018 New York State Association of Chiefs of Police Training Conference held on July 15th through the 18th in Glen Cove, New York. He has a total cost to attend his training to include hotel, conference, and meals, and incidental expenses shall not exceed $1,236. Monies to attend this conference was budgeted in 2018.
Second.
The only suggestion I would have, that he's receiving the appropriate per diem as per,
Last month.
yeah, as per the county that he is in. So the monies might change, but approval to attend the conference. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay. So total price would be. Okay, make a motion to approve the attendant, there'll be two attendant. Two of the clerks to attend the 38th Annual Fall Conference for Clerks at Lake Placid, New York, at a cost of $759 each, and that includes meals.
I'll second it.
And the registration fee
And,
of $50.
that registration fee of $50 each.
Second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. To Seneca Falls Town Board, Rest Vale Cemetery Commission, the commission requested 2 bids from area contractors to repair 69 sites. Listed below are the results of the bid. Begley Construction, $20,625. Monuments total, $20,625.
I'll second that.
Second.
Yes.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. advertisement for bid, sealed bids for finishing of all label material necessary for contract number 1, pin 3950.59, Katie Stanton Elementary Safe Route to School Safety Project, Town of Seneca Falls, will be received by the town clerk of Seneca Falls until 2:00 p.m. local time on June 28, 2018, at which time and place they will be publicly opened and read aloud. Bids will be received for the following contract, the Safe Routes to School. I have a motion on the floor. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That's time, that has some time constraints on it, but that's why we pushed it up to the 28th. Make a motion to modify the highway budget for $3,070.05 for damaged 2018 Chevy truck. Trombley's Tires Insurance Company has already made the check out for $3,070.05 to Town of Seneca Falls, line item 5130.402. There's a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve $960 for smartphone app service and maintenance. Motion made. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. This contract is with Finger Lakes 1. Any more further discussion? 5130.402. There's a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to approve $960 for smartphone app service and maintenance. Motion made. I need a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion. This contract is with Finger Lakes 1. Any more further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Make a motion to approve the water credits.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to pay the bills.
I got a question on that.
Yeah.
We've been asked by the comptroller's office to go in and go through these bills and kind of initiate them.
Yeah.
And I came across this one, and Ashley asked me about it. It was for litigation retainer for eminent domain trail appraisal for $3,500. I guess we already cut a check for it. Are these people licensed for New York State? They are? Okay. But the comptroller's office got a question of, there's no contract with this. How much more is it gonna cost us? There's a $3,500 retainer, but what?
$3,500 has not been released. We're awaiting Mr. McNamara, our counsel, to send us the signed contract with them. Once we receive the retainer, we'll release the funds.
Okay.
But we're not.
Well, I see their check was made, and that's what they were questioning. A check was already made out.
We're
Okay.
basically waiting on it.
So the check is on hold?
Check is sitting on top of my desk.
Okay. All right. And they are licensed for New York State? Okay.
And I had asked Bev originally to do it that day because there was an indication that, Bev, that they had, that Mr. McNamara had the retainer agreement in his possession. Turns out he did not, so I did not release the check. So it's still sitting on my desk.
Okay, and there is one from Barclay Damon for $13,000 that I seen there. I was just questioning some of the hours and the costs. Are we getting in with them and your fees and anybody else's fees that it's holding this up so high?
The meetings have either been with the board itself, down here, or with opposing counsel. I've attended the meetings, the one in Rochester, I've attended the meetings that they've had with board members and the board chair.
I see one, I know it's like one
I believe
with
it's-
Nikki.
Yeah.
For, they had down like one, they called Nikki and they had down for an hour and a half, and it was like $650. I was just questioning some of those as we went through. I know Vic went through them and I did, I don't know if Vic caught that or not.
David Powell had indicated that he was going to have a meeting this week, but I suggested they not because one of the members was very involved in this issue, was on vacation. I didn't think it would be appropriate to have the meeting without him. But when he comes down, he is prepared to go through the billing and the itemizations with you line by line.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
13,000 is now a total of 60.
Yes.
I made that statement prior to us hiring them, that we went through this once before, and I did not want to give an attorney open ticket. And we're down that road again, where
$415 an hour for Mr. McNamara, and for his associate, $260 an hour. We boiled it, Nikki presented it. It's $60,000,
in ticketing.
and yet
Yeah.
we started. So
Because I'm looking at this, it's got seeker on 419, $520, 420 seeker, 260, seeker 424, $1,328. You know, it's like, oh, what? Each of these dates, it's just
Dave,
going up.
I would say that's a conversation, I think, directly between this board at its meeting, its attorney-client meeting with David.
Right. Okay. Well, this is not final quote.
there's
Barclay
On
Damon.
Barclay, but on the other
Yeah.
one, I would say that, this one here, and Mark has said the same thing.
there's that.
Motion on the floor and seconded to pay the bills. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Can I,
Wait a minute, do we have to do that agreement? Do we have to approve it?
Which agreement would that be? I'd say two of them.
The two that you mentioned?
One is a credit of $40 reduction.
Okay, what's
So
the other one?
The other one is our proposal to provide construction inspection services for, now again, that the town, I believe, just saw that today, that project is going out to bid. I think it's fair to say you have it,
Wait, son.
take a look at it, and we can act on it next month. I think
Well, but this one is showing it's a Volvo, right?
That's for this tap thing for school.
Yeah.
I have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Second. Discussion. All in favor? All opposed?